Oh, so hello, friends, relationships, finding peace, keeping the peace. That's different than finding the peace. Showing up, showing up with integrity, showing up in our authenticity, in our relationships, right? It's really, this is this messy, messy human experience of relationships. Yeah, we have them. We have them everywhere, all around us, whether it's at work, at home, that person you meet in the grocery store. We have relationships everywhere. And so these, of course, are our greatest teachers. These are those experiences in our life where we can lean back and go, am I showing up? Am I showing up for the people that are important for me? And so there's this quote, and it is, I know I've used it before in many of my other talks, but it's like, do you want to be right or do you want to be at peace? And, you know, being at peace doesn't mean keeping the peace. It doesn't mean avoiding conflict. I'm speaking from experience here because for most of my life, it was about keeping the peace. And so a part of my spiritual journey has been understanding that having a peace of mind and having peace in my heart is the opposite of keeping the peace, right? I kept the peace in so many different scenarios in my life, but I wasn't creating peace for me, right? There wasn't peace in my heart or in my mind. And so like peace of mind, peace in the heart is an internal matter. It's always about going inward and figuring out things about me. And we get to use these relationships in our life as these tools to help us understand ourselves. So for me, in relationships, it meant choosing what's right over what's easy. And again, my spiritual journey has been all about, instead of, it's just easier sometimes to keep the peace. I did that many, many times, but it created a lot of havoc in my life. And this also means taking a really good look at how we show up in our relationships, right? Are we just showing up in relationship, or are we showing up for our relationships, for others? Right? Again, showing up for those people who are important to us. So really, when it comes to relationships, it's just having our relationships as those tools to understand ourselves better. And if you follow me on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, in the last 4 or 5 weeks, we've covered taking care of ourselves, like take care of you physically, mentally, emotionally, learn how to connect inward with yourself, sit with yourself, sit with your emotions, sit with what you're feeling, but also being able to connect outward and connect with the people and the relationships around you, right? Understanding what we stand for, like understanding and knowing what our core values are. And then last week it was about having a good relationship with you, with yourself, prioritizing yours. And so this is important because working on ourselves in this way, this is what ultimately leads us to this peaceful mind and this peaceful heart. And this, when we do this internal reflection, internal work, when we, work on ourselves in this way, this is what allows us to show up authentically in all of our relationships, right? The simple relationships, the difficult relationships. It's when we get a lot of clarity. Maybe there's relationships that need to be released, that we don't want to have in our life anymore. Maybe there's relationships that we realize are more important than we've been, showing up for in our life. And so that's this week is kind of a combination of, the intention for this week is to notice how you're showing up in your relationships, but also what peace of mind and what creates peace in your own heart. And just taking that internal reflection. So again, I can only speak for myself. And you know what? One of those pivotal books that really, for me, speaks to, taking care of me and my relationships and understanding myself on a deeper level so that I can show up in other relationships is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. That to me is, top of the list, number one, to help me understand about myself, my relationship with myself. And it has helped me to help mend many of my relationships and just to make the relationships that I have that much better. It's helped me to come from, keeping the peace, avoiding conflict, to finding peace within my own heart and my own mind. And in that, helping all of my relations. It just authentically helps all my relationships. It's like I don't need to say work at them so much. When I work on myself in this internal, these relationships that I have in my life have just become better. So for me, it's like when I notice that I'm blaming someone or even blaming myself, that's the time there's no peace in that, right? When I'm blaming someone else, I'm putting myself in the victim mode of that. There is no peace in being a victim, right? And yeah, we have to sometimes put ourselves there so we can feel the emotions and allow ourselves to feel the anger. Can't just, love and light and say, part of the process, right? So, but when I stay stuck in that space and I can't get out of the victim mode, then there's no peace in my heart and there's no peace in my mind. And then relationships, all relationships will get affected by that. So that's one of those key points for me. Am I blaming someone else or myself? Because there's no peace in that. The other thing for me is acceptance, right? When I'm not accepting people for who they are, right? If I'm trying to change them, trying to fix them, if I'm judging them, saying it's not right, it's again, there's no peace in that. There's no peace in that. There's no peace in judgment. Oh my goodness, I'm that person. I used to be that person who was keeping the peace, but was so totally judgmental of everything and everyone, including myself, all around me. There's no peace in that. There's no peace of mind. There's no peace in my heart with that. And I lived my life in this space for so many years. And so when I started to, understand that peace in my own heart and peace in my own mind was number one, right? It's not looking outward for that, not keeping the peace for that, not avoiding conflict, but really going inward in my own heart. This is where meditation, I'm going to say, saved my life and saved, my health and saved all of my relationships. And one third part of this for me anyway is that when I found myself in a position of needing to defend myself, right? So working on my core values and, taking care of myself and showing up authentically as me, it is an important aspect for me. And when I found myself needing to defend myself, this is why I feel this way, this is why I need to say this, I had to lean back and go, why do I feel such a need to defend myself if I'm really standing in my truth, if I'm really standing in my core values, if I'm, not avoiding conflict, but doing what's right, but coming from a space where I feel peaceful in my mind and my heart, then there's nothing to defend. And those were some key points for me going, oh, okay, am I really feeling peaceful? Am I avoiding conflict? Am I keeping the peace? And these are these inner reflections for me that, again, I am that introvert. I can sit with myself. I can go inward and I can get to a point where when I'm peaceful in my heart and in my mind, Now I can choose what's right. Now I can have these really important relationships, or I can invest in what relationships are important for me. So now I show up for my relationships. And it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process, something that I have to always, and it's a journey, and it's a journey I love because it's changed and shifted all of my relationships. Okay. So let's move the body so we can bring these awarenesses into like the body, into the now, into my mind, into your mind. And that's why moving is important. So when I bounce, I bring in the awareness of this, right? Relationships. We all have relationships. They get to be my greatest teachers, right? And I get to learn more about myself. I get to learn what peace of mind is for me. What does it feel like to have peace in my heart and to have peace in my mind? Okay. And then shake out. And it's not, I don't need to be right, but I do, for me anyway, need to do what's right. And for me to figure out what that even is, means I got to connect inward. Okay, so march out, march out. And so for me to connect inward and get a lot of clarity, I got to take care of myself. I got to take care of this body. That's why I do this kind of work, like pick up that knee, right? Connect into the body, take care of myself physically. Okay. And then let's just tap in again, physical. I can feel I'm coming like into my body. I'm feeling it. For some people, I know that's scary. It used to be for me, right? Let's go tap down, feel in, knowing that taking care of myself also mentally and physically, doing this kind of work, right? Like reading books like the Four Agreements. That, oh my goodness, that was powerful for my mind, okay? And for my own awareness within. Okay, rub your hands together and just tap in underneath your eyes. Take a nice deep breath, inhale. Ground and anchor, right? Our ability to feel safe in relationships comes into, our ability to feel safe in our own body. How do we do that? By taking care of ourselves, physically, mentally, and emotionally, by connecting inward, by letting ourselves connect outward, right? Relationships come down to how we're able to feel into our own emotions. I mean, there was a time I didn't do that. I just blurted out whatever I was feeling at any given time. My emotions were like a volcano, and that never ended well. Take a nice breath, inhale. Okay, and then come into kidney points. I like to cross my arms, K27. This gets all our energy moving in the right direction. So now I'm working with my energy. I'm working with my energy, physically tapping into it, but I work all the time with my chakra energy, right? Getting everything into alignment for me. That's my inner work, connecting inward. Doing work on my chakras is what connected me into my core values and understanding what was important to me. What was peace of mind and peace in my heart for me, right? So connecting inward and learning, then taking those tools and connecting outward in the world. Okay, take a nice breath, inhale. Let's go into that thymus right here, the heart center, the heart chakra, the space of connection and acceptance, right? Accepting myself, accepting others for who they are, forgiving myself, forgiving others, finding gratitude in everything, even the tough things that happen in our life, finding there's always something to be grateful for. And that's coming into this heart space. Again, there's that peace of mind, that's peace in the heart. This is going to shift and change all of your relationships, checking in with your energy. Right there's the blog later today. I'm going to talk about these energy systems, these chakras, and how we can really get clear with ourselves, because it's an internal energy, to improve all of our relationships. Okay? And then just tap in, and this just brings everything in, metabolize it. Know how important it is to take care of ourselves so that we can show up for our relationships, for those relationships in our life that are important. But even not so important relationships, just those everyday, meeting people for the first time, right? Just showing up in peace, so we can be in peace of mind. So that's what the intention this week is. Just kind of notice, observe, how am I showing up in this relationship? Or am I showing up for it? Right? And the second part of this is, what brings me peace of mind? What does that mean like to me? Peace of mind and peace in my heart. Maybe it means picking up that book, Four Agreements, and reading it. And I've read it multiple times. Maybe you've read it again. You're like, oh yeah, that was a good book. Pick it up, read it again. Good. Okay, just shake out. I like to just kind of cross over. Okay, and just kind of shake things out. So my friends, this week, it is about relationships and just understanding that getting right here in our heart, keeping the peace, or even the other end of it, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind, right? Just knowing that if you do need to do what's right, you need to say something, you're coming from a place that you feel very peaceful in your heart and in your mind. So relationships this week, and showing up for ourselves, showing up for others, showing up in peace. Okay, so have a fabulous week, my friends. Look out for the blog later, because I'm going to go into our chakras and the energy systems and how we can see what's a little out of balance in our chakra systems. Namaste. Have a wonderful day.